Welcome everyone to Terra Flora, the fourth world in our adventure. This ended up being a beautiful landscape after everything was said and done.
Yeah, eventually. When he first got here, there was hardly any of this, like the flowers and stuff from the sky, petals from the sky and stuff like that. There was some greenery here and there, but nowhere near as flourishing as this.
As it is now.
Again,
yep.
makes sense in the context of the story, but it also is a bummer to have to play through most of it when it looks so drab compared to this.
So this one is kind of split in my head into two parts. You have this outer area with the train mission and then the inner tree area with the bee, Bea. And I gotta say, I like the outer section more than I like the inner section. I had a lot more fun doing the outer stuff with the train before we eventually went into the tree stuff. And then the tree stuff felt like a lot of other worlds where you're just inside
doing block puzzles and solving some fairly simple puzzles and whatnot.
Yeah.
And just find a bunch of enemies to get to the top of some place.
And then Bea herself, the story in this one is a step down significantly from the previous area.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there are still more histories. Like, every world's got history on panels around the outside area. I thought the first area, Augie, was interesting. It was kind of fun to read it. I didn't realize that was going to be a reoccurring theme. In that first world, it was, built into the architecture. So I thought it was, oh, cool, panels. But then every world afterward had it, so it kind of lost its sheen a little bit.
Especially by this world, where it's just kind of the paintings just kind of randomly throughout the tree.
Inside the tree, just randomly, and they're talking about Bea's thing. Her story was interesting, but it was nowhere near as fun as the interactive story we had in the previous world, where you actually were talking to NPC Rabbids and doing a little mission, and a mystery was going on. So I thought the third world was great.
Yeah.
And then this fourth world was a bit of a letdown. What's the guy's name? The captain of the train. Sullivan.
The train conductor.
Was really fun. I liked him a lot. I liked that he had a romantic interest in
our robot AI.
In our robot AI.
Yeah.
Whatever, buddy. Whatever floats your boat.
Or drives your train, I guess.
Whatever drives your train. I then like how he laughed at us and just drove off. Helping us again.
Yep.
So overall, I'd say Terra Flora ended up looking beautiful. Running around this area is not exactly fun. I know the interconnected islands is kind of a cool look. But I don't know. I don't love transversing this area, but it's okay. And ultimately, after we defeated that world, it's one of my most favorite looking worlds.
Yeah.
It's pretty beautiful. I still would have preferred a mountainside full of flowers. I think there's some switch limitations going on here too.
Yeah.
Even loading this area takes a long time for things to load in.
Right. You see a lot of pop in, or some weird textures having to be loaded in, or low polygon textures first, and then models first, and then you get the
higher texture stuff.
Right.
So I think there's some issues there. But overall, I would say I liked this, but it's not my favorite world just because the story wasn't as well done.
Yeah.
And I just wish that the flower theme had been leaned in heavier. I like Terra Flora.
Right.
We came here and it wasn't very Terra Flora.
There should be a lot more gardens around here. A lot of greenery again. And some flower patches here and there. And some weird tall flowers perhaps. But you got somewhat of a garden by the train station, kind of. Not really. But there could have been more of that.
I think just gardens everywhere. I also kind of in my head think of I don't know, think of a Mayan temple with you climb up the stairs, but there's
vines?
Flowers and vines everywhere around the side of it.
Yeah, I mean, this is Terra Flora. This should just be absolutely covered
maybe
in flowers.
or
these islands instead should be just giant flowers.
Should be giant flowers. Oh, that'd be really cool. You're on giant flowers.
Yeah.
Kind of like Mushroom Gorge from Mario Kart. We like mushrooms instead. But yeah, just being on giant flowers would be really neat. I think as lean a little heavier into the flora and the Terra part of it. Instead it feels more interconnected worlds with. It's really pretty now, but I think it could have done better with the theme. The train was also kind of weird. At the end, it's kind of...
Yeah, I guess it's just there.
It's just kind of there. It doesn't really fit anything going on. Bea's story is totally unrelated to the train. The train felt like they had a cool idea, and they're like, we got to get that in the game.
Yeah, but
what world?
Which world? I guess the flower world.
I mean, it would have made more sense in the upcoming world, but...
It's a Wiggler train, so I guess that's why it's here in the Flora world, because Wiggler has a flower on its head?
I will say also, if you're going to do a train, and then we wrote it for a cutscene in the cool boss fight, which actually was a great boss fight.
Yeah.
But
true.
If we're going to do a train, could we not have done separate sections in this world and then ride the train to them.
Right to the different, like all these islands are split up. Like,
And we don't get to ride the train.
No.
That feels very weird that there's a train.
we just
in
rode the
game,
train in a cutscene and that was it.
and
then,
we never ride it again.
no.
These are nitpicks. Don't get us wrong.
Like I was thinking, oh, with the train here, then there's one train station. Maybe you have to go from train station to
the
train
next
station,
train station.
and that's like a whole different
100%.
part of the world.
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
But instead, the train station takes you nowhere. You do some side missions, then you come back and do the tree, which is very unrelated to the train stuff.
Yeah. So this world overall is just like a lot of promise,
Disjointed
that
ideas.
just live up to the hype that we had for it.
Like the last
Or
one was
like
way
the-
more cohesive. It had this fall theme. It had a little mystery going on. There's a poet and some story. Really enjoyed it. This one calls itself Terra Flora. You come here, there's no flowers. There's a weird train thing, and then the Bia story is unrelated to the train whatsoever.
Yeah.
And then the world's very pretty afterwards, but now we've done everything and we're out of here. So
right.
it's like, I don't know. This one is not my least favorite because I think it looks very nice, but it's actually very far down on the list. Might be the bottom. We're like close to the bottom,
As
honestly.
it is right now, it could be. I mean,
It actually might be the bottom.
between this and Pristine Peaks, because this is like prettier than Pristine Peaks, but Pristine Peaks at least I think had a better flow.
The two things
maybe?
connected better. I really
that's
don't think
true.
the tree and the train do anything together whatsoever. I'm not saying they have to be connected.
Right.
But as Enop's saying, should we not take the train to the tree that's in a different island in the back of the area at the very least?
Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, the train does take us to the Mount Spout, but like Mount Spout could have been like way over there, or like
yeah, like a different area. We
or
ride
like
the
the train
to it?
goes through Mount Spout. I don't know.
Goes
So,
through
some,
it, like
something
through it?
more involved with the train, aside from the one boss fight.
Yeah.
Okay, then there was a side quest, but we didn't even like get on the train again.
No.
It was just moving the train forward.
Yeah, no, I agree
Yeah.
with you too. I think
Yeah.
this is a missed opportunity world is more so than anything else.
The end looks pretty at the end here, but yeah, there could have been, I think, a little more done with it to make it an amazing world.
Once we get to the next world, we'll maybe talk about our final. As we talk about our final thoughts and things in the game, we'll kind of recap all the worlds and maybe give a little bit of a listing.
Yep.
We have one last thing to talk about in this area, though, which is
Items. That's as new to this game. Kingdom Battle didn't have items. It just had like you had your heroes and their abilities.
Oh yeah, you're right.
And you could heal between battles, or sorry, you could heal. You find mushrooms randomly throughout the world.
Yes.
These are the levels. That was like your way to heal outside of battles. Either that, or it was it to level? No, complete a chapter, right?
Yeah, or
Like a
level
complete
up.
chapter, and then you would level up, right?
Yeah.
And then, or not level up, but it was like you completed a full chapter, and then you get a full party heal that way.
Yeah. This game made it way easier to
Or you
heal.
can do easy mode and heal up that way, but
You can heal at any time you want in this game by spending coins. In battle, you can use mushrooms.
or yeah,
To
and
heal
I
up.
have mushrooms as an item in this, but not only that, they've added a whole bunch of other items to assist you in battle.
Items are broken and probably shouldn't be as much in the game as they are, or they should be
No.
significantly nerfed. They
Right.
It actually depends on how they want the game to play, but the way they did it makes items so strong that many of your best options are to actually spend your action point on an
Just
item.
using an item, yeah.
Of course, the problem for us is that's expensive, and these things kind of added up the cost eventually. There's not like money in the game where I have to like spend real money to get coins to buy items.
Yeah.
So this wasn't like a thing where it's like, oh, give us money.
Right.
It's more of just like, hey, we never had a grind in this game, but if we were gonna actually seriously use items and item abuse,
Right.
we would have had to grind for coins.
Exactly.
Now coins are unlimited in the overworld. You just run around, collect, and refresh, and run around, and collect.
As well as you can go into any random enemies in the overworlds and
They'll
battle
give you
them for
coins.
some coins.
So coins are unlimited, so it's not like you're capped on that, but to actually collect coins to buy items over and over would be a little bit annoying.
Yeah.
As we go through the items here, we can like take a look and talk about through them all. There's a basic mushroom to the right, which heals 30%, then the super mushroom heals 50.
And then 70, and then there was that one other item in our inventory, which
We got
is
it like
100%.
once ever.
It
and
was-
a rare 100%
Yeah.
heal, and we never used it. But you never need 100%.
No.
You would need at most a 99%. But
Yep. Right?
but we never used that. These things are really good. We actually use mushrooms quite often. A lot of times we took some chip damage, and then we had a free action point, a 30% heal, which was nice.
Yeah.
These are good in battle. We used them, like I said, a lot. But
and there, especially for the heroes that when we didn't have Petch on our team, essentially
Yes.
the only healer hero
Yep.
in this game. So if you didn't have her, you just had to use mushrooms to heal up your party if they took a lot of damage.
The one thing though, if you can make it through the battle, actually healing with Beepo or whatever the thing is at the very end there,
Yeah, this
the sales pod thing.
right.
This thing will heal for about 250 coins or whatever.
Towards the end of the
220.
game, yeah, it would be 250.
So
yeah.
that is actually the cheapest option to do a full heal as opposed to using mushrooms for every character for the most part.
Yeah.
We use a lot of mushrooms anyways because we had them in our inventory.
Right, and there's also actually that skill tree and their health skill tree for every hero. You can actually
Heal
invest
more.
some points. You can heal more after
15%,
battles or
yeah.
during battles even.
And then there's also, once we got the spark tree, the very bottom one actually allows you to get a random item
Yeah, and a lot of
using a spark. And a
while
lot
we-
of them were cheap items, aka mushrooms.
like a lot
basic
of
mushrooms.
times the reason would be just mostly mushrooms
Yeah.
out of that.
So you could get mushrooms that way. You could technically get all the items, but we found it mostly gave mushrooms.
Yeah.
Looking over to the right, then we have a POW block. This thing is busted.
Dude.
It's busted. It has a nice AoE, pretty decent size to it. It destroys cover, and it did at the end of the game about
1400 some damage.
1400 something damage,
Yeah.
1450 something like that. That is more than most of our characters can deal. That does more than like Peach can deal.
Yeah.
That does more than any of the supports can deal.
Yeah.
Only the guys that are actually attack based can do it. But this means that if they have an extra action point, they can drop a POW. The great thing we didn't know about early in this game is that any character can pick up a POW,
Yeah.
drop it, and then someone else can move it and throw it.
Yeah.
Or you can leave it for another turn. That's always risky because your characters would randomly hit it for fun. But yeah, the POWs worked really, really, really well. There's plenty of times where an enemy would not die. Well, they're behind cover. Well, just throw a POW and it's over.
Yeah.
So I think this item was probably too strong. It maybe shouldn't have done 1400 damage. It maybe should have been like
It should just
destroy cover,
Yeah.
or like maybe probably just destroyed cover
Honestly,
or knocked them out.
yeah,
cover.
like and do some weak damage, but not as much as it was doing towards the end of the game. Like probably just half of that, if
Yeah.
that.
It
Maybe
was-
30% of the damage it was doing by the end of the game.
it's too much.
Because it was just, like, oh, we'll have an extra action point. I could just like, I either fire the weapon with Pet, you can do like 900 damage, or I could throw a POW block, which would do like 1400 damage.
But in an AoE, so if two,
In an
if
AoE,
two enemies are
yeah.
near each other, you
So-
did 1400 to both of them, and she can't do that with her
Right.
weapon.
Yep.
No one can really. So except for like the Mario.
Yeah, and kind of funny. I guess speaking of Petch, as well as also the healing items, kind of also hurt her, especially in this.
They
game
hurt her
too,
a lot.
because
You don't
why
even take
bring
her-
why bring Petch, who has pretty
Heals.
bad weapon damage and heals only every couple of turns? We could just bring a whole bunch of mushrooms,
Yeah.
and use those on every hero that needs health.
Yeah. Or just wait till it turns over and then just heal with coins.
Yeah,
So
right.
yeah, the heals got kind of heavy nerfed in
And
this game because of items.
Now leads kind of into the problem that we've been bringing up here and there throughout the other discussions, is that items do kind of ruin a lot of aspects about the game. Like they kind of break other things in this game and make it kind of worse overall. Because it's like, why bring Petch? We could just bring mushrooms, or like
why bring Bowser when you can bring a POW?
POW block to do more damage with AOE.
More damage than AoE.
And they'll
Items also
just-
allow you to use them and move, and you're not locked in place.
Yes. As well as they can be abused to also in conjunction with broken abilities, techniques.
Reset cooldown, refresh all your sparks techniques for immediate use.
Yeah, so sparks like Starburst could be refreshed, so you could use it one turn,
One turn,
the next
refresh, and use it again.
Or you could use, you could have Rabbids use Yunui,
Then reset,
actually wait a turn, because it goes two turns,
turns.
then use the reset cooldown,
then
and
do it again.
Do it again, and then you just keep doing that forever and ever if you had enough reset clocks.
Yes,
Like,
so she can freeze her, and we did that a little bit towards the end and tried it out. It is so strong and so stupid
Yeah.
that you can do that to enemies. And
Yeah, just,
I know it. Like obviously, it's a single player game, so if you play it however you want,
Yeah.
it's kind of the way
Mhm.
we play the game. You can item abuse, you don't have to, but these things are too strong to be in the like. I don't know. I don't think it's good game balance because
No.
these things are just too easily abusable.
right. And again, you can get coins from battling or throughout the overworld. You can grind them up as much as you want if you really wanted. So yeah, you could get as many cooldown clocks or POW blocks, mushrooms, whatever, any of these items as long as you had the cash.
Another broken item coming to the right here. We didn't even talk about it because it doesn't really affect.
It doesn't necessarily It doesn't negatively affect any hero per se. However, it does just kind of break a lot of the
game.
combat. Or,
Yeah.
the
Especially the
mechanics of it.
reach areas.
Yes. Yeah, the move boost. To start a new area of movement, you go to the end of a hero's area of movement, use this item, you get to go almost twice the distance then from where you started.
This was probably Edge's best friend.
Just start
Edge would move, slide a couple enemies. If she couldn't get further, she could use this and slide even more enemies. We use this a lot in conjunction with the Spark to Vamp.
Yep.
And this keeps sliding, or there's another item coming up that would also allow you to slide more.
Yep. Or you just use this again to help reach the other heroes.
Or reach into area.
Any enemies, areas, whatever. Yeah.
This is an incredibly good ability, and it's...
I think by itself, it's not that bad. Because again, you're using up an action point to start a new area of movement.
And everyone's got a limited number of slides.
Yeah.
So
I think, honestly, out of the items, this one's not
very,
so bad.
very, very
Especially
powerful.
Yeah, it is.
But not beyond busted. The thing is, if you use an action point to maybe get behind cover, so it takes away from you using an attacker technique. I know all of them do, but the POW is an attack. The reset cooldown is essentially to let you abuse a great technique or a great spark. This one allows you just to get to a better position. It's abusive for the reach area levels potentially, but other than that, it really is not a big problem.
Right. I guess this also kind of goes for this next item here, the immunity charm. Immunity for 3 turns. Yeah, but that's just like...
We didn't use this
defense.
much, but this is a defensive one. So you have to waste an action point to defend. Honestly, we probably should have used this more if there's enemies that could even be somewhat annoying.
Yeah.
Because this would mean so you don't get gust or splashed or whatever fired or oozed.
Yeah.
So we could have used this and slid characters. We didn't do that too often.
Probably could have used this more often, but at the same time, it's not necessary again because if you're hoping to not get hit or attacked a lot, which we weren't for the most part.
Honestly, a lot of times we got hit was unexpected, and then, I mean, this would have maybe stopped burn damage from making us run out into the open. But you don't want to predict that would happen.
I mean, so I guess sometimes if we had the extra action point, maybe using this item instead.
Yeah,
it could have
been good.
But at the same time, it's you could use this item, or for 10 more coins, you throw it down a POW block.
And then do 1,400 to an enemy.
Yeah, right.
Next up is the 2 extra dashes.
Multi-dash item.
I actually think this is a fairly decent item in terms of what it does.
Yeah, use up an action point for 2 extra dashes. I think that's a pretty fair trade-off.
Movement is not limited by action points, and this is the only movement item in the game that you have to spend an action point to then get 2 more. Most of the time, you will not do this because most characters do not want to spend an action point for 2 extra dashes because they'll do 350 damage on a dash. They'll do maybe 700 more damage.
Yeah, 700 maybe to 1,000 damage.
Maybe to 1,000, which is pretty good.
But it's best in conjunction with the characters that have good dash abilities, or at least are using a spark that has dash abilities.
We found this one to be crazy great on Edge because she does increasing damage the more dashes she does.
Yeah.
And this includes this, so she does 4 normally. You can do up to 6.
Yeah.
And that 6th one does so much. Plus, we would use this plus the spark, the dash spark. She'd be doing over 1,200 damage on her final dash. So this was really powerful with her, but I wouldn't say it was very powerful overall as an ability.
Yeah.
We didn't use, or as an item, and we didn't use it too often, except for Edge here and there.
Yeah.
So I think this was a better done item in the game.
Yep. And then there's also this one here, the Cleansing Elixir. This is actually a pretty straightforward one as well. Just getting rid of the negative effects.
It's like a mushroom. I don't hate this item. I think it's very powerful if an enemy freezes you. I think that's also kind of unfun if you get frozen and just die right there.
Right, yeah. So you kind of need this item, at least a couple, to prevent that sort of situation from happening, where an unlucky thing like that, where you get frozen in place, or you might get oozed. Maybe you don't want that, or your technique locked by an enemy. I guess
that happened a couple of times. I mean, so
it kind of removes some of the challenge, but at the same time, you do take an action point for that.
Yeah, it removes some of the challenge.
I think it's fine.
But a lot of these things, let's say you get in a bad spot and you get frozen, you could Cleansing Elixir and then use a mushroom. That's you can only use 1 item at a time.
Yeah,
that's the other thing.
So you use this and then you move.
Can't heal.
But then you get to move and then you attack it. But you can't heal. So yeah, it does. You have to make that choice. So I think this item is fine.
Yep, I think so too.
And also because no hero has that ability to remove negative effects.
I'm actually surprised now that you mentioned that no one does.
Yeah,
You'd think
so this
that someone-
item does not get in the way or doesn't cover up or take over any hero's ability because no hero actually has this.
Oh, I guess no one has it because it doesn't happen too often in this game.
Yeah.
If anything, someone should have had the ability to prevent immunity, like the 90 coin one. That should have almost been a hero
Or,
effect.
yeah, or keeps you immune.
Keeps you immune.
Yeah.
That would have maybe made more sense. Or honestly, Peach's Bear could have been immunity charm plus like 50% damage reduction, not 100%.
Yeah, that'd probably be more balanced,
Like,
because as it is, just you might still get affected by super
that way
effects,
you don't get hit
but
by.
you don't get any damage.
You don't take any damage. Because that way you'd
So
at least take
broken.
damage, but you wouldn't like get knocked back by splash. Or
Yeah.
something. It would be a little bit more balanced. But
Yep.
items, I'd say they're an interesting addition. I think they make the game significantly easier.
Significantly easier, and they can be abused.
Yes,
And so that does like
lower the challenge a lot. Now, obviously, because it's solo player, if you said to yourself, "I'm not using any items," then there you go. You've
there you
increased
go.
your own
Yeah,
difficulty.
fair enough. And I guess then the items, the brokenness of the items doesn't affect your playthrough at all. But
But the thing is, if you want to do actually max min kind of damage per turn,
you're gonna
you're gonna want a POW drop or
reset the cooldowns
reset
so you keep
cooldown.
constantly getting your best techniques back up, or moving the area, like increasing area of movement or extra dashes and stuff
Yep.
like that. So
So we did use some items in that sense.
Yeah.
I think we did a pretty good job at the end there. We did more and more POW things because it just for support characters is so good for them.
right.
We didn't really abuse reset cooldown, but if we did Rabbids a lot, we probably would have done more of that. We tried it out in the final battle, and it showed to be significantly good. Enemies could
Yeah.
not play the game
right.
because they were just locked in place. Selling was kind of, I mean, I'm glad they have this option, but it was kind of a complete waste. It sells for half the value or whatnot.
Yeah, just no, just actually quite a bit under half the value.
Oh, yeah.
Well, okay,
Yeah, it'll-
not
under
quite,
half,
maybe
but yeah.
40%.
So
Yeah,
it-
about
it-
40%.
I don't know why it's not just 50%. That's kind of weird. But you don't really need to sell. I mean, they'll get you some coins, but honestly, almost every item we had was like at
No.
5 to like 3 to 5 at all times.
Yeah, maybe if you're doing really well, you can sell some of your mushrooms.
The only thing I could ever see is if you actually do that spark thing where you get items per game,
yeah.
and eventually you start collecting like 20 mushrooms,
Mhm.
and maybe then you want to sell them. But the thing is, you can sell them for money. You're not going to get a whole lot back. I don't know. It's not really a great method of making money, is selling them.
Yeah.
You're better off just running around the world collecting
Coins
I think,
and running random battles.
and just beating battles really fast.
Yep.
Beating battles really fast is probably the best way of making money.
Yeah.
Just go to a Goomba thing, glitter, punch them all, get out of there, get 70 coins or 50 coins or 100 coins, whatever it is,
All right.
and be done. But that about wraps it up for items. And on to the next world.